Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a video to show you how to change the home button in the iPhone 4S. Now this is pretty much the same for the iPhone 4 as well, but this one's specifically for the iPhone 4. If you have a home button that is sticking or no longer works properly, this is how you change it. So to remove the back cover, what you will need to do is there's two screws here in the bottom, there and there. I already took them out, but there's two screws there that you have to take out, and then you can just slide this back cover forward on the bottom, lift up on the top part and then the bottom, and then it comes right out. So first what you will want to do is right in here there's these two screws for the battery connector. You will remove those first. To remove the battery connector after you remove the screws, pry up just with like a pry tool like this, like a plastic pry tool. Just pry it very carefully and pull that over. And then there's this little clip here that you have to watch that you want to save off to the side that goes in the upper corner of the battery connector. Next you will want to remove these two screws out of this flex cover connector right here. And also you want to remove the SIM tray. I should have mentioned that to start with, but you want to remove the SIM tray for this. Next you will want to remove this connector for the charging port flex here. After you move that connector, just gently peel up on this, it has adhesive on it, and pry it over to the side. And then next you want to remove all the screws in the top cover here all the way around, and keep track of where these all go as well with all these, because they are different lengths, so you want to make sure of that. So next, to remove this top cover, what you will want to do, you can just grab it with your fingers. I'm going to use the tweezers here so you can see, and what you need to do is move in this direction. There's a little clip right here behind the battery that you need to tip it down like this, and then you can pry that right up like that. And then also for the Wi-Fi clip here that you took a screw out of, you're going to want to just gently pull up on that and remove that. So then next, what you'll want to do is disconnect this connector down here, the antenna wire down by the speakers, and you'll want to unravel the cord from around different places where it's hiding back there. And then next you want to take these two screws out of the speaker assembly right here. So next you will want to pry up on this speaker assembly just anywhere. Now watch, there's a little plastic clip like this that sits on top of the speaker in this corner. You want to save that off to the side with your screws, and then you can just move the speaker assembly over to the side as well. And then what you're going to want to do is remove all the screws out of the logic board here. But first, actually, you're going to want to remove the rear camera here. Just pry up on that connector and it pops right out. And then there's all these different connectors. There's one here, there's one under this one here after you move this one, and then a third one there, and then these two, and then also the antenna wire here that you're going to want to be mindful of. And then you're going to want to remove the screws. There's a one that uses a flat screwdriver here, one that uses a flat screwdriver in this corner, and then there's a Phillips here and a Phillips here and a Phillips here with the contact gold connector for the camera. You want to take those out, and then you can remove that. So now that you've removed all these screws out of the logic board all the way around, just be mindful that you will want to keep track of where all these screws go, because they are all different sizes and lengths. So make sure to keep track of where they go. If you have to lay them out in a certain way, if you have to draw on a paper, whatever keeps good track for you, that's what you do. And then now that the logic board is loose, you can just pry up on that and just wiggle it around a little bit. It likes to hang up in this top corner here. Then you can remove it just like that. Then next, we're going to need to remove the battery as well. Now my battery's been removed before, so there's no plastic. This plastic tab here broke off. They like to get brittle over time. So what I need to do since I don't have that plastic tab, is just gently go under here with a pry tool of sorts and go under different places and just carefully pry up on there, and then the battery will pop right out. So there's that part. Now, I haven't mentioned this before, but what you need to do to remove all this stuff is a Phillips, and mine is a size 000. It's a really small Phillips. That's what you're going to need for all these screws. And also, I have a flat screwdriver. You can use any kind you want, but I have a flat screwdriver from this set for the certain ones in the logic board. And also, to remove the back cover, of course, you're going to need a Torx, a little star, and this is size 0, just to show you. And I'll include a link in the video description where you can find these tools if you need to get some. So now to proceed on with removing the front screen, what you'll need to do is on the side here, there's 3 screws here. Now these ones you don't have to take all the way out, you can just loosen them. And same on this side, there's 3 here as well, if you can see them. Now we will have to remove this vibrator to get into this part, but it's really simple. I'll show you that right now. You can just slide something like this tweezers or flat screwdriver or something, if you're careful, and move that, and it just has adhesive to hold it in place. So now that that is out of the way, now in each of these 4 corners as well, in this corner, and this corner, this one's a little hard to get to, and in this corner. Now this one has a piece of adhesive tape over it. You'll just have to remove it to find it. So these ones have to come all the way out, the ones in the corners, but these ones you can just loosen. You don't have to take them all the way out. Now that all the screws are out in all 4 corners and on the sides here, these ones are loosened, not totally taken out. Now sometimes, if this has never been changed before, sometimes there's stuff that gets built up in here just from, having it in your pocket or whatever. And so what I did to get it started is I just used my little flat screwdriver because it's really fine tipped. I wouldn't recommend using anything very wide. And I just went in this little corner right here and just loosened it a little bit and just kind of worked my way around, careful not to crack or damage anything. As you can see, this screen here is not damaged. I'm just showing you this to show you how to do it. And so then you have to watch these connectors right here if this is a good screen and you're trying to save it. And you have to watch these connectors that they feed through here properly. And then you just carefully work your way around and work all the way around and see how that separates there. Then you just pull that out and be sure those connectors pull through there properly, like I said. And there you have it. There's the screen and there's the body part. Now to change the home button flex cable, what you'll need to do is right here in the back, there's this little connector that you have to pry up, then you have to slide this out, and there's a little ribbon cable, and then it comes up here in the front, and this is what the actual home button flex cable looks like. And then you'll need to, this is just put on there with adhesive. You just need to pry under there and just remove that. And then you'll have to fish this out of here and pull it out. Then you can put your new one back in right there and just stick it down with the adhesive that comes with it. And then you'll have to reconnect this connector right here and this little flex cable, and then you'll have to snap that connector back in place. And that's how you change the home button flex cable. And then so next, what you'll need to do to put it back in is this hole right here. You have to feed these connectors through here. And just be patient with them and watch as they feed through here to make sure that they both come through here. You don't want them doubling up or anything, pinching or tearing. It's a little bit tight to feed them through there properly. Sometimes they go right away and sometimes they can be painful. So now the tricky thing here is if you leave these screws in on the side, is make sure that the washers stay back all the way, because that's what you're going to need to feed through here now is where these things come into these washers here. So not to make this video too long, you just feed it through, and then what I would recommend is put your 4 corner screws in first. Make sure they're pulled up together tight when you put the screws in, and then squeeze the sides together as you tighten these ones in the sides here. Now after you have your screw installed all the way around, what I would recommend is just go along the edges here and make sure that everything is nice and tight all the way around, that you didn't miss anything. Make sure that your home button has a nice clicking sound to it, that everything is in place there, and then you're ready to go on to the next step. So first what you're going to want to do is grab your little vibrator here, and you can pretty much usually see in the outline of the adhesive the way it used to sit if you do forget. And then you just press that right down, make sure that this screw hole here lines up. And then next, since the battery's out, it's actually easier to put the logic board back in with the battery out. So what I would recommend is move these connectors out of the way here on the front. And so first of all, what you need to do is there's this top part of the logic board here, you have to get that up underneath there. So if you get that in place and then just set that right down and then put all the screws back in. So now just to review, the flat headed screwdriver or screw goes right here, the shortest one, the longest one goes here. Hopefully you set these out in the right order so you know, but there's a Phillips screw that goes here and a Phillips screw that goes here in the logic board. This is, and then it may seem like there's one that goes here, but it actually goes through the top cover, so don't worry about that one. And then go ahead and set the rear camera back in. I just did it here, just put it in its place and connect it, and then make sure to connect all 3 of these connectors, and then these 2 from the LCD, make sure to connect those, and then also this antenna wire right here. And then you're good to go ahead and put this little clip back in for the Wi-Fi clip right here. Set it down, make sure it goes in its right spot, and the screw hole lines up right here. And then go ahead and let's reinstall the top cover again now that that's all in. Now this has these 2 prongs right here, so you have to set these down in this notch here. And remember this right here where we had to push down to get it out? Now you have to push it down again before it goes back in, and push it down and then forward. And then put all these screws back in the top cover here, and also this one here in the Wi-Fi clip. So next we will install a speaker assembly, and I'm going to do this before we do the battery since the battery's out, because it's easier to see what you're doing here. And so since the way these prongs are shaped here, you're supposed to put this back part in here first and then tip it down. The main thing is to watch right here is that those things don't catch right there and they sit down properly. So then go ahead and put your screw back in here, and remember your plastic triangle shaped clip for this side, and put that screw back in. And then you can go ahead also and loop this wire around this part here and hook it up to the connector right there. So next we will want to install the battery. So all we need to do is to tip this side in first all the way, push that down, make sure it's seated down good so it sticks again, and then just reconnect this connector here. Should pop right in place. Watch this flex cable so it's not in the way for anything. And then next, while we're at it, we'll go ahead and hook up this connector for the charging port flex cable. Stick that back down, and then we can put this top cover plate here for the flex cable. Put that on, put the screws back in that, and put the screws in your battery connector. Also, before you actually put this last screw in for the battery here, make sure to get your little black clip and slide it under this top corner right in here before you put that screw back in. So lastly, after you double check, make sure everything's hooked up properly. Nothing loose, or if you have screws left over, then there's a problem. You need to check over everything. And put the back cover back on. All you need to do is just set it so it's ahead a little bit on there. When it's setting down, there should be a gap here. And then push down tight, and then just slide it down this way. And then you put your 2 screws back in down in the bottom. So lastly, we're just going to do a test here and make sure that everything works. And thankfully everything works so far. It turns on, and that is a good sign. So we'll just give it a minute here to come up. Now if you change your home button, make sure that it works. You can double tap to try that. Press and hold to try Siri. Of course, Siri's not available because I don't have internet. But just, yeah, you can see that it works. So, there you have it. Thanks for watching.